Welcome back to another video and welcome to the YouTube channel. My name is Kruk and I'm a therapist. And today I will be following up on a video I'd done a few months ago around parental alienation. In that video, I specifically covered a paper I'd come across where they talked about how turning a child against a parent can turn the child against themselves. And it explored the whole issues around self-esteem that can come up for a child, especially that's caught in the middle of the conflict and often being asked to pick one parent over the other. In this video, I'll pick up where I left off from the last one, and so I encourage you to check out the previous video that I'm referring to. But I'm going to build on it here because I came across another paper that's a bit more recent. It was published in 2022. And it does get into some specific behaviors that are very nuanced when it comes to parental alienation. So I want to explore those, especially for people that may not be aware. And how can you gain awareness so then you can do something about it? And sometimes when you're on the receiving end, you start questioning your reality. You might feel like you're being gaslit, and you might also be at the mercy of the legal system, which can further perpetuate the issue. So talking through this, we did explore the pain and injustice of parental alienation last time. And essentially, just for people to be at a baseline here, when one parent psychologically manipulates a child to turn against the other parent. Now, how does this actually happen? What are the specific behaviors that cause a child to reject a once loving parent? So we'll talk about in this video the paper I'm referring to, and I'll put that in the captions as well. You can check out for yourself, but it's by Harman, Kruk, and Hines. And like I said, it was published in 2022. The title is Parental Alienating Behaviors. So what are these behaviors I'm referring to? Now, they're often not isolated to just moments of anger or bitterness. They are often intentional, repetitive, and targeted strategies meant to damage the child's relationship with the other parent. So I can't emphasize that enough. And often they show up as bad mouthing and belittling. This includes constant negative talk about the other parent, calling them dangerous, crazy, irresponsible, or saying things like, your dad or your mom doesn't really care about you. Over time, the child will internalize this narrative. They'll be limiting or controlling contact, so the alienating parent might cancel visits, refuse phone calls, or create artificial barriers like moving away or forgetting to tell the child about scheduled time with the other parent. The third way it shows up is forcing loyalty and rejection. So children may be pressured to choose sides. If they express love for the other parent, they may be guilt tripped or emotionally punished. It becomes a betrayal to even mention the alienated parent positively. The next thing is interfering with communication. This could be deleting messages, blocking social media, or even coaching the child to ignore texts and calls. It's like severing a lifeline. And then the next way is rewriting memories. So alienators will often manipulate past events. They'll twist positive memories into false stories of harm or neglect. Over time, unfortunately, the child will forget what was real. And then the last piece, as per the paper, is creating false allegations or fear. This is perhaps the most severe. Telling a child they were abused, abandoned, or never loved without evidence. And then that can unfortunately also cause trauma that stays with the child for years. So, why is it abuse and not just conflict? Why are we going to that extreme here? And Harman and her colleagues are clear in their paper that these behaviors meet the criteria of coercive control, a recognized form of psychological abuse. Unfortunately, based on my experience, the courts don't necessarily talk about coercive control enough, and maybe sometimes they're not even aware of what goes into it. So there's a quote from the article, so I will quote it here. Parental alienating behaviors are a form of emotional and psychological maltreatment consistent with patterns of family violence. So again, just to differentiate between the abuse and conflict here, unlike mutual conflict between co-parents, alienating behaviors are one-sided and intentionally manipulative. They serve to isolate the child from healthy attachment, using love as a weapon. Now, the problem here is often the courts will look at this and say, oh, both parents are in conflict. It's a high conflict situation. But they're not looking at maybe the parent who's on the receiving end of the alienation is responding out of frustration or anger. And often the courts can miss that or lose sight of it. So, going into the hidden impact on children, which is obviously the most significant issue here, children caught in the middle or in this emotional tug of war often suffer quietly. The symptoms can include anxiety and depression, low self worth, distorted view of reality, difficulty forming trusting relationships, guilt and grief in adulthood. What's most heartbreaking here is many grow up to realize they were lied to, manipulated, and robbed of a loving relationship they could have had. So, what can be done? If you're a targeted parent, these behaviors may sound painfully familiar. You may feel helpless, but you're not alone. So, here's some tips that are included in this article. Document everything, whether it's dates, texts, missed visits, and interactions. Seek therapy with professionals who understand these behaviors. Educate others, whether it's judges, teachers, even family members. Many still don't understand this form of abuse, which is something I've already mentioned. Stay grounded in your values. I know this can be hard, and this is what I talk about in the last video too, that you have to see the bigger picture, as hard as it can be in the moment. But stay calm, don't retaliate, and remain a consistent, loving presence for your child. Now, if you're a professional, whether in the legal field or mental health or educational, this is your wake up call because these behaviors are not high conflict drama. They are abuse, and the child is the one who suffers the most. So, in closing, parental alienation isn't just a private family matter, it is a public health issue. It's a form of abuse hiding in plain sight. The first step is to protect the children and the targeted parents by naming the behaviors. Then we can hold people accountable. Now, if you're interested, like I said, I will include the paper in the notes here. You can go look it up. The title again is Parental Alienating Behaviors, an Unacknowledged Form of Family Violence. And if you're compelled, please share this video, speak up in your community, and if you're affected, don't give up. Healing is possible. Love can be restored. Don't lose hope. I know this can be really hard, but you're not alone in this.